Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome to episode number 1 of Spiritually Aligned. I'm so honored that you are here. And honestly, I'm in a little bit of disbelief that I am actually creating this because it's been on my list for a while. And like some of you might be able to relate to this. My ego can get the best of me. And yet my soul kept reminding me that this was my way forward and a way for me to be able to serve that feels aligned and to be able to be that beacon of light for others, to guiding them to remembering who they are. And over the next several months, we're going to be diving into the twin flame journey. This is a part of my human experience that I'm having, and I want to be able to share with you what it is that I've learned, what not to do, and to give you some very valuable information that you can start applying to your journey. But before we get into today's episode, I invite you to grab a cup of coffee, cup of tea, or if you're like me, grab a cup of cacao and settle in. Grab a notebook if you want and a pen and take some notes, because I want you to take what resonates with you from any of my podcasts, any of my stuff I share on social media. And if it's resonating with you, I want you to start applying that into your life, into your human experience as soon as you feel called to. Because when something is resonating with you, that's your truth. And I simply want to help you remember your truth. So I want to introduce myself and give you a little bit of backstory on my journey. So like many of you were born into families where you experienced a lot of trauma, some wounds. If you're anything like me, you came from a family that had a lot of dysfunction, and my parents divorced at a really young age, so I experienced abandonment. I incarnated into many templates that have been passed down from generation to generation within my family, like poverty consciousness, suppressing the feminine energy, and just really so much more. And at a very young age, I remember around the age of 6 or 7, I started manifesting what it was that I wanted to experience in my human existence, because I didn't like what was sitting in front of me. And I knew deep down inside many things about my life. Like I knew that I would have this one love that I would never experience with anyone else. And I knew that that one love would lead me to remembering who I was. I knew that I would be able to be the creator of my reality and to serve others and to be able to provide my family with an experience that I didn't have as a child, all the while giving my own inner child the life that she deserved and she wanted for my whole entire life. And I knew at a very young age I was a healer. I knew I was destined for more, but I would always tell people that if I were playing poker, I literally got dealt the worst hand possible. I would tell people that often in my life. But what I didn't realize in my journey until I started to awaken was that was the best hand I could ever receive, because every single one of those cards in that hand has helped me become the woman I am today. And I have so much love and so much respect for every past version of myself. I now wear what I thought used to be curses upon me as badges of honor. I walk side by side every single day, owning and embracing these parts of me. And I want to be able to help you to do the same. And life is always happening for you, but I didn't always see it that way. It wasn't until I had this opportunity to move halfway across my country. And right now I'm currently living in Minnesota, so I'm in the United States, for anybody that is outside of the United States. And I had an opportunity to move anywhere I wanted in the world. It was like God and the universe opening the doors for me to begin to create a new reality. But what I quickly found out was that didn't matter where I was. All the same problems, all the things that were happening to me in Minnesota, where I'm born and raised, was happening to me in the new place that I was living. And I quickly started to learn that I was a common denominator, that if I wanted to change my external reality, that I needed to turn within. And I started doing a lot of inner work, what most would say is self-help. But anytime I would see a shift in my reality, I would stop. And shortly after moving to Arizona, was where I moved to, I went on vacation to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, and fell in love with Cabo. Upon returning, I declared to everyone that I was going to move to Mexico in 2 months. And sure enough, the doors opened again, and my move to Mexico was effortless. And a couple months after being there, I discovered I was on the twin flame journey. I met my twin. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. I discovered that I was on my twin flame journey because my journey is a little bit unique compared to others. Is I didn't know I was a twin until a year and a half after meeting my beloved. We had already had a relationship and broken up and gone into what others call separation. And all the while, I couldn't, get rid of this guy. I was constantly chasing after him. I just couldn't cut him off like I did everyone else in my life. I just knew there was something more. And then I discovered this journey. And I've spent the last 6.5, 7 years discovering all these parts of me and learning to embrace this journey and finding the understanding of why I chose this journey at the level of my soul. And I decided too that I would want to be able to support others on this path and to create content that you can apply to your life, because how many of you have listened to other twin flame coaches, gurus, mentors, teachers, whatever they call themselves, and you feel as if what they're saying to you, you don't quite understand how to apply it to your journey? If that resonates with you, you're not alone, because that was me as well. I didn't understand some of the things that people were saying. And I felt as if everything that was out there was either misguided information or information that spoke above me in a way. And I really wanted to be able to teach people to be able to utilize this information, because this journey doesn't have to be complicated. But yet there are people out there that are making it so complicated. So if you want simple, practical ways that you can navigate this journey, then I invite you to subscribe to my podcast, because that's exactly what we're going to do here. And over the last 6.5, 7 years, I have been in what others would call separation from my beloved. I feel now where I'm at in my journey is I am in inner union of self. I've learned to balance out my inner feminine and inner masculine, and to begin stepping into my purpose of why I'm here on this planet, and to be able to serve from that place, and to be the alchemist and the creator of my reality. And the only reason why I am here where I am today is I'll let you in on a little bit of my secret sauce in terms of my journey. I do inner work almost on a daily basis, still to this day. But how I utilize inner work has changed a little bit. And I use energy healing. Sometimes I feel like energy healing is like the cheat codes for your journey of healing. But yet it is the most transformative thing that I've ever experienced. And those two things, my friends, are exactly what I've used to be able to get to where I am today. So enough about me. Let's start diving into today's content, because we're going to be talking about what is the twin flame journey all about, and how do you know if you are on the twin flame journey. And I'm going to talk about some things that if I were to go back and do things differently, what would I do instead? And I'm going to share with you some things too that, in my opinion, you should avoid, and to allow you to be open to understanding that this journey is a beautiful gift from God and your soul, and that your divine masculine is not your enemy. And so let's start by talking about what is a twin flame. If you've done any searching on the internet, you know that a twin flame at the soul level at one point in time was one soul. And through our evolution as a soul, we split off to create two souls. And those souls incarnate into two different human bodies. And for some of us, we've had hundreds of lifetimes together, which is why some of us also carry a lot of karma with our beloved, and why some of us, it takes so long for us to be able to heal and to come into union, because this journey isn't just about healing and clearing stuff from this lifetime. It's about clearing and letting go of the baggage and the trauma and the wounds that you have carried in from other lifetimes. And so when we understand that this person is us in another body, for a lot of us, it's because we can see ourselves within them. It's like, oh my gosh, I am looking at me. This person is me. And it's kind of mind-boggling, right? Like, you think to yourself, how could this be possible? But we carry the same energetic frequency, the same like soul blueprint. We've experienced so many of the same things in this life, but also in past lives. And we get to journey in this life with another person who can see how powerful we are. And they are helping us and guiding us back to that part of ourselves. And the one thing that I want you to really realize, because it took me a long time to understand this, and it wasn't until I heard it from two of my favorite twin flame healers, Jill and Rami. They're this beautiful couple in Canada who helped me remember my truth about this journey, and have helped me see various parts of myself so I can accept these parts and heal these parts so I can transform my reality. And we all need those people. And a lot of what I know is because of them. They helped me rediscover my inner knowing. And that's all I want to do for you. And I remember one day Jill saying in a course that I was taking with them, and she goes, we all understand that our twin flame is our mirror. And I'm going to probably do like an episode on that to really understand that. And she said, when you start to see things in your beloved, whether you label it good or bad, it's an opportunity for you to say, if I can see that in him or her, does that still lie within me? Because if I can see it in them, most likely it's in me too. And you start to realize that you are one in this really deep way. And that's when you start to begin to end the separation. And you start to see one another as one. That you are in this together. It's not the divine feminine versus the divine masculine. You're in this together. And I know sometimes it doesn't feel like that, but you have to remember your beloved is only acting out because of your subconscious programming. And they're just doing their job. Just like you're doing the job that you need to do for them in their reality. And so when we look at understanding if you are on this journey or not, there are so many signs out there that people talk about, but I want to talk to you about like 3 or 4 that I find are very unique and oftentimes overlooked or perhaps not talked about. First and foremost is everyone that I've ever met, which is at this point in time over like 50 people that I've either worked with, are friends with, or have conversations with on social media, especially the divine feminines who awakened to this journey first. We had this knowing about this love, and we have spent our whole lives subconsciously searching for this love. All the while, we've never heard of the term twin flame. You've never heard of it until you meet your twin. And I've found in my experience that I've had a couple other divine feminines who I've had conversations with who heard about the journey and then started looking for their divine counterpart. Here's the thing that I know is not everyone has a twin flame. And if you are looking for your twin flame, most likely, sorry to say this, but you're not on the path. And once you can release that, you're going to open yourself up to a beautiful connection that could be more aligned and more beautiful than the twin flame journey. Because I think there's a lot of hype around this journey and how people talk about this unconditional love and this magnetic attraction and the intensity that it has. And it's so beautiful, yes, but nobody talks about the challenges that we go through, the pain and the suffering that we experience because of this journey. And so that's sign number 1 for me. You remembered as a young child that you were part of this journey and you've forgotten about it. And it wasn't until you discovered your beloved that you heard about the journey as twins. Another sign is a lot of you have probably felt this energetic pull, whether it's to move somewhere, to go somewhere you normally wouldn't go. And you discover this person. And when you meet them, there's another energetic pull from your sacral chakra. Not your sacral, sorry. Some of you could be your sacral chakra. But a lot of you experience it from your solar plexus. Like from that part, like right below your rib cage. It's like you're being pulled by them in this place, and it's drawing you to them. And you feel this immense love because you've discovered your person. And so that's another way I've experienced in knowing that I was a twin flame. The other thing is, unexplainable things will start to happen into your life. Your world is going to turn upside down. What you've known to be true up until this point in your life, all of that is no longer valid. And your life begins to change rapidly, meaning things, people, places, situations that are no longer serving you fall apart. And if you're anything like me, it means losing almost everything, because everything that you had built was built by your false self, by your ego. And the only way to know truly if you are on the twin flame journey is to turn within, to connect to your soul, to connect to your intuition, and asking yourself, am I on the twin flame journey? Because your soul and your intuition will never lie. It will never lie to you, and neither does your heart. Your heart will tell you. Your mind will try to convince you otherwise, like telling you this doesn't make sense, it's impossible, there's no way, because it sees your twin flame as a threat to itself, because it then knows that the journey of the ego death is going to begin. And there's going to be many, many layers of that ego death that happens. And so turn within and ask yourself. You'll know by how it feels in your body. You'll know by that soft whisper and that knowing that resides within you. The other thing I wanted to start diving into is, if you are new to the journey, or perhaps you're feeling really lost and overwhelmed or frustrated and you've been on this journey for a couple years, I want to talk about some things that I would avoid, or what I would do differently if I had to start my journey all over again. Because I say had to, it would mean that the universe or God would force me to start all over. But I wouldn't, because I love my journey. And I could cry because I love the path that my beloved and I chose to experience. Despite all the hardship, despite the pain and suffering that I experienced, there were so many beautiful moments in my journey. And he held this vision of me and continued to lead me to that version of me that he knew existed. Whether he knew it was going to create pain for me or not, he was so bold to be able to do that. And so I wouldn't change anything. But since I have more time on this path and more experience, I've learned a few things regarding what not to do. So let's start off with tarot readings. How many of you are binge watching collective tarot readings for twin flames on YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok? Raise your hand. because I see you. Because you know what? I was once there. Because I was so desperate in wanting so much to know about what was happening in his world. But what I realized was that got me off my path. Focusing on what he was doing took the attention off of me. And this journey is about us. It's about me. It's about you becoming the best version of you and remembering who you are as a spiritual being, a powerful goddess that is magnetic and beautiful inside and out. And what happens is those tarot readings give us false hope. And we think that they're speaking to us, right? Like you're like, oh my God, that sounds just like me and my divine masculine. But sometimes it's far from the truth and you're just wanting that to be your story, to be your journey, so you can cling on to something. So if you are binge watching tarot readers, I would encourage you to start detoxing yourself and minimize the amount of time that you watch these. I am in full support of you getting a private reading. There is nothing wrong with getting a reading and getting guidance in terms of your journey. However, when you get a reading, remember, you and your beloved have free will. It's a gift that we get to experience here on planet Earth. So it doesn't always mean it's going to turn out exactly that way. But allow it to give you insight and confirmation about what it is that you know. Second thing I would do is I honestly wouldn't talk about this journey to anyone who is not on the twin flame journey. And here's why. I know so many of you feel lonely, feel misunderstood, and really feel disconnected. But I got you because I have something coming for you in May. And you are just so desperately wanting to connect to somebody and to feel seen and to feel heard and to get advice. But what ends up happening is the advice that you are given is coming from unawakened souls. Souls that are coming from their own trauma and their own wounds. And the experience of twin flames is like no ordinary relationship. Like, we break the boundaries and the rules when it comes to relationships because we're here to bring in new codes of unconditional love, new templates in how we do relationships. And we get to teach others how to become interdependent and to love everyone for who they are, no matter where they are. But also, too, what happens is when you start sharing this journey with your friends, they start to dislike your beloved. They think bad of him because of the things that he's doing. And they don't really realize that what he's doing is actually helping you ascend to a higher level of consciousness. And they can't really comprehend that either because they don't understand what that means. And not only that, when you start seeking advice and suggestions and stuff from so many people, your own wisdom, your own guidance in knowing about this journey becomes clouded. It's like a cloudy day. You can't see really anything. There's no sun shining, nothing leading you. And that's how it starts to become. And so then you start continuing to seek outside of yourself, when this journey of awakening and this journey as twins is about turning within. The third thing that I wouldn't do is I wouldn't take the advice of every guru and teacher and twin flame out there, because not all advice is good advice. And trust me, some of my advice isn't going to be good advice for you, because that's not your truth. That is not your truth. And I simply want you to remember your truth. And that's why I say only take what resonates. And again, when we follow so many spiritual teachers and coaches and people who are talking on the twin flame journey, we get so many different perspectives, because we all have various perspectives in terms of our experience as human beings. And we have to align to a person or persons that are speaking our language. And so find 2 or 3 people that you follow and really trust in their knowing and their guidance. Trust in, how are they speaking to you? And when they're speaking, are you getting the chills in terms of, oh, this is for me to remember about me? Or are they just leading you farther away? The fourth thing is, if I could go back, this would be the one thing that I would probably change, is some of the anger, the resentment, and frustration that I projected out onto my beloved. Because what I realized is that anger and frustration and resentment that I had towards him had nothing to do with him. It was all about me and discovering these parts of me. And what I found and I discovered about my anger was I was mad at him because he was showing me a part of myself that I didn't want to see. And that hurts. And you don't really realize that until you start diving within. I think I'm up to number 5. Number 5, this is something that I would do, is I would focus on my connection to God, to source energy, to the creator, whoever it is. Because your holy trinity in your 3D reality is you and your connection to God, and then your beloved, the connection to your beloved, and then your beloved's connection to God. That is the holy trinity. And when you can start really deepening that connection with God, and I'm probably going to do an episode on this, because when I say connection to God, it's not what you think. It's not about seeing God outside of yourself. It's about seeing God within you. Being able to see your God-like self and connected to this energy through your central channel that runs all the way up to your higher self and God, where you get to receive beautiful guidance and wisdom, and where you get to experience this really beautiful life with the Creator. Because based on your beliefs and your programming, God says yes. God always says yes. And so I would work on my connection with God sooner in my journey than later. The other thing is I would be open to receiving. Receiving in terms of the wisdom that some of these teachers have for you. To be open to seeing all these parts of you and to rediscover these parts of you. And by being open to discovering these parts of you, it calls you to allow your divine masculine to lead you through these parts through his 3D experience and the experiences that he's having in his life. Which leads me to my next point. I don't know what number I'm on, maybe 7, maybe 8, I don't know. But I would turn my focus away from the divine masculine and onto you. And some of you are like, but I don't know how to do that. And it's through healing. To take your focus off of him and to stop worrying about what he's doing. Stop trying to figure out what his path is. Stop trying to figure out why he's experiencing what it is that he's experiencing and what is it that he needs to learn. Because none of that is relevant to your journey. The only reason why you need to have your eyes on your divine masculine is to see the parts of you through his 3D reality. And if they're in karmic connections, ooh, what a beautiful gift for you. Utilize that to your greatest good, to accessing parts of you that you wouldn't otherwise. Whatever it is that you're feeling jealous of him in his 3D reality is healing for you, because you, as a divine feminine, are the leader in the healing portion of this dynamic. And he is living and doing the things in the 3D reality, like finishing up karma from past lives, being in connections that will awaken him to his remembrance of who he is. And so he's going to be focused on the 3D reality, and that's his job in the beginning. And your job is to focus in the internal world. And when your divine masculine awakens, you'll know, because your roles will then switch. You'll be more focused on your 3D reality and creating a life that you desire. And he's going to be turning inward and working on his inner world in order for the two of you to come into union. And let union be there, but let it be the bonus of this journey. Because divine feminines, this journey is not only about remembering who you are, but it's about creating the life that you have desired your whole entire life. That life that your inner child so desperately wants, you get to give that to her. You get to give that to her. And you get to create this life. You can begin to create your own abundance. And your divine masculine comes in and it's like he's the bonus. He's the extra. Or what I like to say is the cherry on top of my sundae. And so, beautiful souls, I'm going to leave you with that and give you some time to process, to digest, and to start applying some of this into your reality. And I'm honored to be on this path with you. And I'm honored to share everything that I have in this journey with you and to create this very beautiful portal for you and to hold space for you on your journey. And so if you're not following me on TikTok or Instagram, you can find me at Sacredness Within You. And I'm also on YouTube as well. I'll link everything in the description box down below. And also too, I have tons of offerings to be able to help you on this journey, because you don't have to do this journey alone. I've learned that even as a healer and even as a coach, I need somebody to be able to shine some light onto some areas of me that I simply don't want to see, but are holding me back from being the person that I am to today. And just to give you some insight into next week's episode is we're going to be diving into 7 things that I learned on my twin flame journey. And these are 7 things you might not think of. And so I'm just sending you all so much love and light, and can't wait to connect with you next week.